I'm Linda Piccini, Director of Training and Education for Baby Lock, and I'm sitting in front of the Baby Lock Euphoria, which is a cover and chain stitch machine unlike any other. This machine can do so much more than just triple, double, and chain stitching. What it does is it works perfectly with different attachments that we have and feet in order to be able to accomplish any sewing task faster and better with more professional results than you've ever had before. So watch with me as I go through a lot of my favorite techniques, and I'm sure that at the end you'll realize it would be a perfect addition for your sewing room. To begin with, I'm going to start with some swimwear. And so swimwear today always has two different ways of stretch. It goes in both directions, and this is the kind of fabric that's especially hard for a sewing machine to stitch. With my triple cover stitch, not only can I go through all layers of fabric, but what it does is it's going to stretch along with it. My machine can both chain on and chain off the fabric, which is a really big wow. And not only that, if you look, there's no pop stitches. It looks beautiful both on the front and the back. Let's go for another pass. Perfect way to finish off swimwear, and this is a great athletic stitch even for fabrics that you're making for your own sportswear, but it can do a whole lot more than just sportswear. Let's take a look at another piece of fabric that I really like. This is a brushed polyester knit, and it is, again, a two-way stretch fabric. Now for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a different specialty foot. I've been using the one that came with the machine. To clear my machine, I'm going to rotate my hand wheel towards me until my needles are down, and then I'm going to go backwards just till they're out. And when I do that, what it does is it clears my thread so I can clip all of those layers, and now I can simply press on the back, drop my foot, and I can introduce my Teflon foot. What's really nice about this foot is not only does it help me glide over this type of fabric, but if you're ever sewing on vinyl or even some cork fabric, it'll do a really good job of just gliding over it. And so I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to fold it up roughly about 1 inch. Now I like a triple cover stitch for a hem. I think it's a really great finish. And in order to be able to get it exactly on the edge the way that I like, I'm going to line my fabric up so it comes right to the edge of my presser foot where each one of these notches represent where my needles are. And now I'm just going to slide up my seam guide to this edge. And now I know that when I turn my fabric over and stitch, I'm going to end up with a perfect hem. Look at how beautiful that is. And I didn't do such a bad job. So that's a triple cover stitch, first on swimwear and now on this really nice brushed polyester. Now let's look at how the machine handles some denim. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to fold up my hem, and when I do so again, I'm just going to line it up with the toes of my foot. I like to cut my threads after a couple stitches, and we're on our way. Beautiful stitch on front and back. And now let's do something else fun. I'm going to fold my fabric to give myself a little bit of a bend, and when I get finished with this, it's going to look an awful lot like your jeans. Isn't that beautiful? Now let's switch the machine over to a wide cover stitch, which is actually one of my favorites. And to do that, I'm just simply going to remove my center needle. So I'm going to grab a piece of my Ponte knit, and this is a beautiful heavyweight knit. And again, my machine is going to handle hemming this beautifully. Beautiful finish. So not only does my Euphoria do a great job hemming fabrics like this, but that wide cover stitch actually does an exceptional job when it comes to doing things like making belt loops or even straps. Let me show you how easy that is. Just a few quick changes and I'm ready to take my piece of fabric, feed it through the attachment, and make straps or even belt loops. My Euphoria does a beautiful job folding in both of the edges the exact same amount. This is a perfect way to use a wide cover stitch. One of my favorite ways to use a wide cover hem is to hem something. And what I want to show you now is how you can do something in a round, because this seems like a mystery, right? I've got my open toe foot on my machine because I want to be able to see those little marks. And I've also taken my fabric and turned it up roughly 1 inch. When I feed this underneath my machine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a little bit before my hem. And I'm going to just begin stitching around my fabric. Now, when I'm getting towards the end, what I'm looking at is the toe of my foot and also these little red marks that are here. And as I come up closer, each one of these marks line up with my stitching. And so I'm going to bring it on through and I'm going to see it come through my little window. And when I get to my stitching and I've stitched over it just a couple stitches, let me show you how easy it is to finish this off in the round. I'm going to rotate my hand wheel towards me until my needles are completely out of my fabric, and I'm going to raise my presser foot, taking the tension off my thread, and I'm just going to pull some of my thread down in front of me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my included Allen wrench and I'm going to slide this underneath and I'm going to pull those threads forward. So I've got about 1 inch to 2 inches, and when I cut those threads here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this straight out the back. And what it does is it takes my needle threads and it brings them towards the back. So look at how beautiful this is. It brings them towards the back, and now all I have to do is tie those threads off, and I have a very secure hem. So if you were ever concerned about doing something in the round, you don't have to be anymore. Next, let's go to a narrow cover stitch, and I'll show you how easily the Euphoria handles very lightweight jersey. So my stitching looks beautiful. But one of the tips that I like to show is if you stitch somewhere on your fabric and it's not where you wanted it to go, it's really very easy to take out also. All you have to do is take the end where you stopped stitching or where you came off the fabric and clip your threads, especially paying attention to clipping the first 1 or 2 needle threads. And when you've done that and released it, what you have to do is just reach on the back to where your chain looper thread is, and you can pull it all the way down and completely off your fabric. It'll even remove your needle stitching too. And now all you have to do is hem it the right way. So I'm going to take my piece of fabric and I'm going to give myself another little 1 inch hem or so, and I'm going to stitch it. This narrow cover hem is the perfect stitch for very lightweight fabrics, just like this fabric. So even if you're not a garment sewer, a cover and chain stitch machine is a perfect companion for somebody who's a quilter. I've had a lot of people ask me in the past, I want to find a machine that has a continuous bobbin. Well, when you've got thread spools this large, and if you go down to a chain stitch, which is a single needle, you'll be able to chain piece to your heart's content. I'm going to remove my left needle, place it on my tray. Now I'm going to put my lace applicator foot on. And what this foot does is it gives me an edge for my fabric to ride against. And I've got this set up already so I can do a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now that I have my lace applicator foot on, I'm going to do some piecing of some squares. And what you're going to notice is that I get a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when I hold my fabrics here, what you'll notice is that my 1/4 inch is right on. And so that's awesome, especially for people that like to do strip piecing or chain piecing, especially with square items. But you can actually do this also even with fabric that's on a curve. And so now I'm just going to finger press my 2 pieces open. And let's put this fort patch together. Isn't that beautiful? My seams nestled in perfectly. Now, not only can I use my chain stitch to do something like putting together quilt piecing, but I can actually seam fabrics, and in fact, I can even gather with them too. I'm going to switch over quickly to another one of my favorite accessory feet. And this time, I'm using my cover and chain stitch foot. A little differential feed and a little bit longer of a stitch length, and I'm going to be able to make lots of ruffles. This edge is perfect for the edges of pillows or quilts, any home decor or even garments that you're doing. This is a perfect way of getting it, and you can easily rip it out just like I showed you in case your fullness wasn't exactly what you want it to be. But not only can you do these things, but actually, like I was talking about, you can actually use this as you would use any type of straight stitch. So on my Euphoria, you may not have noticed, but I've got a really nice knee lifter, and what this does for me is it drops my feed dogs at the same time that it raises my presser foot. It makes it very easy for me to be able to get large pieces of fabric underneath my machine. And this time I'm going to take off this foot and I'm going to replace it with another one of my favorite feet, and that is the curved foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my quilting bar on the back, and my machine can make very short work without even having to do any type of marking. I can do some beautiful parallel rows of stitching. It does a beautiful job, and my quilt bar does all the work for me. So not only can the Euphoria use standard serging or sewing thread, what it also can do is it does a beautiful job when you put a heavy decorative thread in the chain looper. So I'm going to do that and show you how you can get surface embellishment with beautiful thread. And this actually looks beautiful in reverse. So I'm going to use my pretty side of the fabric down. With the curved foot, I can meander on my fabric all that I like, and I can even do parallel rows of stitching. So as you can see, the Baby Lock Euphoria handles decorative thread very well, and you also have the ability to be able to use up all 5 inches of space that's right here to help you be able to explore all the creativity that you want and interject that into your next project. And so not only are the accessory feet and attachments that I've shown you here available for use with the Euphoria, but what you also have is a whole lot of different attachments that will help you to create beautiful finishes on the edge of your fabric. So regardless of whether you're a quilter, a home decor sewer, somebody who really gravitates towards crafts, or even somebody who's a garment sewer, the Baby Lock Euphoria is the perfect addition for your sewing room. If you want to find out more, check out your Baby Lock retailer, and I'm sure that they'd be happy to show you this machine in person.